Hi, this is Tyler Scott with Grace College Rugby Club. We're going to talk a little bit about the box kick. Um, the box kick is a kick done by the scrum half from the base of a ruck. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we might have the scrum half kick it, why from the base of a ruck, and then what the goals are of kicking a box kick. So first of all, let's ask, why do we not have the fly half kick the ball here? And so we need to think about what is the goal of a scrum half box kick. And one of the things to keep in mind is that perhaps the fly half is under a lot of pressure. Perhaps they have a rush defense, and so if our ruck is up here and the scrum half is back here, we don't want this ball charged down, and so we don't want to give the defense time to rush up and chase down our kick. Also, remember that any chaser of the kick has to be behind the kicker. So let's say we have this ruck taking place, and we pass the ball back to our fly half to kick. Well, our chasing wing has to be behind the fly half, and so the chasing wing has a lot of extra ground to make up if they're going to chase this ball. However, if the scrum half kicks it from the base of the ruck, then the wing can be all the way up here to start the chase. So why do we want this only from the base of a ruck? Well, let's also remember where offsides lines are. So if here's our ruck, the offside line is right here, and so we have a good meter or two of space for the scrum half to kick the ball before the defense can. The defense has to rush around this ruck 1 or 2 meters. If the scrum half picks the ball up and kicks it immediately, there's not really enough time for the defense to block this. Especially if you've seen the top professional games, they'll often put some extra bodies right here to extend the ruck backwards, and so the scrum half is kicking the ball from back here rather than from right here. I remember that when these guys hang on to the ruck offsides line comes all the way back here, and so we can kick the ball from way back here instead of up here. It gives us some extra space. Why not from a scrum? Well, remember that the offsides line in the scrum is 5 meters back for the defense, but for the opposing scrum half, the offsides line is in line with the ball. So if the ball is right here at the back of the scrum, the opposing scrum half is right there, ready to hit our scrum half as soon as she picks up the ball. So definitely not something that we usually would do off of a scrum. So what is the goal of a box kick? Well, if we're behind the 22, we can kick it for kick to touch directly out, and the line out takes place up where the ball crossed the touch line. So that's something we would do if we're behind the 22. What if we're in front of the 22? Well, if we're in front of the 22, it can't go out on full. So we're probably going to kick high for the opposing wing or or scrum half, the opposing wing or fullback, to put them under pressure that they have to catch a high kick under pressure from our chasing wing. Would we want to do a box kick in the opposing half? Well, probably not, because remember that if an opposing player catches the ball inside their own 22, they can call a mark. And that eliminates some of the purposes of doing the box kick, which I'll talk about in a minute. So let's say here's a zoom in. This is our own 22 line here, the 50, the 10 meter line. And so again, if we're behind the 22, we might just kick it straight into touch. But let's say that we're in front of the 22. So here's a ruck taking place. And here's our chasing wing. Remember, the chasing wing can be up behind the kicker. If the kicker's right here, the chasing wing can get a head start, as opposed to if they had to be behind the fly half. And they have extra distance to run to chase the kick if the fly half kicks it. So here's our chasing winger. We kick the ball high, and probably not as far of a distance as we might do if the fly half were kicking the ball for territory. We're doing this kick for territory, yes, but also we want to contest possession. So we're going to kick it high, put this opposing wing under a lot of pressure to catch this ball cleanly. Maybe they'll knock the ball on, which means we get our scrum up here. Maybe they catch the ball. If they catch the ball, then let's have this wing right up here, ready to tackle this player as soon as they hit the ground. As soon as they catch that ball and are on the ground, we tackle them so they can't pass it out to their teammates for a counterattack. And if our scrum half has really good accuracy, we've put it right here next to the touch line, and our wing can even tackle them into touch, giving us the line out up here. Obviously, another great outcome would be if our wing has a good height on the jump, can compete for the ball in the air, and even gather our own kick. That would be pretty cool too. So let's go back to the question again of why we wouldn't do this in the opposing half. Well, remember, there's a mark. We can call the mark if we catch the ball in our own 22, and the opponent, if we kick this and the opponent catches it cleanly, they can call that mark, and then we don't get the option of tackling them into touch or tackling them at all. They get their nice free kick from there. So this isn't really an attacking technique we would do in the opposing half. It's something we do in our own half to gain some territory, hopefully gain possession back if we tackle them into touch, if we gather our own kick, or if they knock it on. But it's another good tool for our relieving pressure when we're in our own half.